Today we're going to work with how to find simple interest. Interest can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. It's a good thing when you go to a bank and let's say you want to deposit money into the bank and you don't want to do anything with it but allow it to grow. Well, it grows at a certain rate or percentage over a period of time, and that's what we're going to work with today. It can be a negative thing in the real world when you think of interest that you have to pay, let's say when you purchase a new car over time, a new home, or let's say you borrow money in the form of a credit card, you have an interest rate that you have to pay back the amount that you borrowed and then a rate or percentage on top of that. Well, today we're going to use a simple interest formula, and that formula is interest equals PRT, where P stands for the principal. It's the amount of money that you start with. Typically, it's the amount of money you would deposit into the bank. Your R stands for rate, which is our percentage. And T is the amount of time. Typically, it's an amount of years. It could be days, months, years. It could be quarterly, meaning that it would happen 4 times a month, a year. It could be semi-annually, meaning it happens twice a year. But what we want to do too is just put these 3 things together and multiply them together. And then the last step would be take whatever your interest is the amount earned, and then add it back onto the original principal. So in essence, it's sort of like sales tax or tip, where we would find a certain amount and add it onto in the end, but in this case, it's a positive. So in our first example, I would deposit $300 into my bank account, and it's going to grow at a rate of 6%, and it's going to do that over a period of time of 3 years. So what I want to do is I want to change my percent to a decimal like we always do. So I'm going to move my decimal over twice after I put it in the whole number, and that's going to be 0.06. So I'm in my first step, I'm going to multiply 300 times 0.06, figure my number of decimal places, which is 2, and then multiply 0, 0, 18, put my 2 decimal places in. So my amount of interest is going to be $18 per year. Now I need to multiply that by the time, T, which is 3 years. So I'm going to take 18 in my second step here and multiply that by 3. Figure my number of decimal places, 0, 0, 24, carry my 2, 3, 4, 5. Put my decimal points back in. So my simple interest over a period of 3 years, it would have grown $54. Now the most important part is after I figure the simple interest, now I have to go back to my second step and add the interest back into the principal. So I'm going to do that now. In my final little piece here, I've got my $300 that I start with. I'm going to add the $54 back in, lining up my decimals. Bring down my decimal and add everything up. So my new balance would be $354 after 3 years. So without putting any more money in, without taking any money out, the account would have grown, the balance would have grown $54 over that period of time. Now my second example, I worked with a little bit bigger principal to start with. So let's say I deposited $3,500 into my account. It's going to grow at a little bit bigger percentage rate of 9%, and it's going to do it over a time of 6 years. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to take my $3,500. I'm going to multiply it by my rate of 9%, which is 0.09 as a decimal. Figure in my number of decimal places, which is 2, and multiply. 0, 0, 9 times 5 is 45, 9 times 3 is 27, plus 4 is 31. Put my 2 decimal places back in, and I get a total of $315. This would be the amount of interest that it would grow over the period of 1 year, but I do it over a period of 6 years is my time here. So my second step would be take my answer of 315. I'm going to make it a whole number so I don't have to work with more decimal places. Now I'm going to do that times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. And, sorry, I made a mistake here. I need to go back. 3,500. Oh, I did not make a mistake. 315 times 6 is 30. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. And 6 times 3 is 18. So, in a period of 6 years, it would have grown $1,890. That is my interest that it grew over that period of time. Now I need to go back and take my interest and add it back onto my principal, my original starting amount, which is my deposit. It's $3,500. And I'm going to add the 1,890 to it. Line up my decimals, bring down my decimals, and add. 8 plus 5 is 13. 3 plus 1 is 5. So over a period of 6 years, my new principal balance would be $5,390. Okay. To recap, in my steps, I'm taking my principal, which is the amount of money I start with. I'm multiplying it by the rate, which is my percentage. Once I get that answer, it's important to then multiply it by the amount of time it grew, months, years, half of a year, quarter of a year. And then I take that final interest that it grew over that period of time and I add it back onto the original principal that I started with. It's important to know that you can't multiply 3 things together at once. You have to do them in 2 steps before completing that final step and then adding it back in.